environment. I know the current political mahal is to bash Delhi and to, say the states are great and give all powers to the states. Actually, we are a multi-tier democratic system, and I think we should not tamper with the flow. We should empower each level of government. I'm all for it, but we should also recognize that there are certain issues which require national responses. In the case of the Ganga, all political parties in Uttarakhand are united in ensuring that there is no water in the Ganga. My own political party, the Congress party, the BJP, every political party wants to build dam after dam after dam, because building more dams means more contracts, and more contracts, you know what it means. So nobody is interested. It is the central government which intervened and made sure that there was some regulation on building these dams on the Ganga. So if you had given all the powers to the state governments, I'm sure those of you who visit the upper reaches of the Ganga, you will see only hydroelectric dams and you will not see any water.
Sure.
I think odd even type of experiments are very good. I think there's room for a lot of innovation. But ultimately, it's the enforcement of the laws that matter. And if the state governments are keen on environmental issues, they must demonstrate that keenness by enforcing the laws. The laws are there. The standards are there. Whether it's for pollution, for air pollution or water pollution, you have to enforce them. And I think this is where the shoe begins to pinch. When you start enforcing them, there's a lot of backlash. And in that backlash, you don't want to create too many enemies. And therefore, you end up compromising.
Mr. Kanuri, you're in an interesting position here.
Yeah.
Because you are a champion of private sector, and yet you're the president of a national body, and yet based in a state. So what would be your point of view on this?
You see, exactly what I'm saying is that I'm not at all saying that rules, regulation and the laws need not be prepared at the center level for what is overall. Take the inputs and prepare those rules and regulations. The implementation of that, they cannot violate. If there is a rule of afforestation, deforestation not allowed, etc., a state cannot violate it because the regulations have been laid down. The challenge basically happens that in India we do not have that foresight and like long-term planning. Say for example, you talked about the odd and even solution which the Delhi government has come. Why have we come across this situation today? Had we planned a good public transport system, good roads, where people can walk, people can cycle, people can have easier access through public transport, you would not face these problems. So where the issue is that where a lot of work and effort is required, a long-term horizon planning, that yes, this is what India would need, what should be the way forward, how do we develop those ecosystems. If you develop those ecosystems, which takes care of the environment, along with development also is what is required. And therefore, the balance and the working together, the debate is not one against the other. The debate should be that how both can work together in parallel to ensure that we do not create problems for our people. They also develop and they grow. They have a right to live. But also parallelly, we create those ecosystems required for effective development.
Let's just turn our attention to today, as of now. After which we will open it up for questions, because I can see there are questions. So post Paris, climate is on everybody's minds. Suddenly it's the most important topic. We are talking about survival of our forests, survival of our children, better air quality, water. And anyone who has spent a Delhi winter knows what air quality stuff that I'm talking about. So with this backdrop, also, just going back to your time, you had made some efforts, your ministry, to reposition India in some of very critical environmental issues. So if I may say that we are one of the largest democracies of the world. Everybody knows India's demographics, and I personally think despite all our problems, it is India's time. So we are a very, very different entity than what we used to be in 1991. So what is India's role in this current climate? How much importance does the environmental environment has, rightly. And I mean, how can we get better at it?
Well, India's position traditionally has been that we have not caused the problem of global warming, so don't bother us. Let's keep growing for the next 25 years. You guys clean up, because you guys are the ones that have put all the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This has been the traditional Indian position. And this traditional Indian position has been based on a very simple calculation, a very simple proposition of per capita emissions. You see, in India, everything per capita is very low because the denominator is so big. When Indra Nui comes to India from America as chairman of Pepsi, she says India is the biggest market for soft drinks. Why? Because the per capita consumption is very small. So anything per capita in India, where per capita is 1.25 billion, increasing by 10 million or 11 million every year, is bound to be small. So per capita emissions is very small. So we have very small per capita emissions, so don't bother us. You guys clean up. So this has been the traditional Indian position. But that's changed. It's changed in the last couple of years. And it's changed because I think the public health consequences of pollution are becoming very apparent, both water pollution and air pollution. It has also changed because the international gaze on India has increased. India today contributes only about 6% of our global greenhouse gas emissions, but by 2030, we will be in the second position. We would be contributing almost 15%. We would be where America is today. So the international gaze is also increasing on India. And we may be fighting the Americans, but as far as Bangladesh and Maldives and Africa is concerned, we are as much the villains as the Americans and the Europeans. This is very interesting that Bangladesh and Maldives and all these small, Nepal, Bhutan, all these small countries are not bothered with who is contributed to the CO2. They are saying India and China are also contributing as much as America and Europe, so you do something about it. So India's position has evolved, and I think in Paris, the important thing in Paris was that every country decided to take on responsibility for doing something meaningful in the next 15 to 20 years to reduce its emissions of carbon dioxide. It's very important. And I think in the next 15, 20 years, you will see a major commitment to renewable energy, particularly solar energy, a major commitment to energy efficiency, a major commitment to ensuring that in whatever we do, the emissions are kept at manageable levels. So to that extent, I think the debate in Paris has been very constructive. India is now positioned differently than what it was 10 years ago. And I think climate change for us is a huge opportunity, because the impact of climate change, we may not be part of the problem, but the impact of climate change is the maximum on India. That's, I think, the reality that we have to come to grips with.